In the city of Anthos, the buildings breathed. The great library was a colossal sunflower, its face turning to follow the path of the sun. Houses were tulips of every shade, their petals closing gently at dusk. Bridges were arching fuchsias, dripping with soft glowing light. These architectural flowers were kept alive and vibrant by a sacred symbiosis with the glyph moths. These magical insects were living stories. Their wings, covered in a shimmering pollen-like dust, carried the city's inspiration. When a moth with the tail of a brave sea captain dusted the library's petals, a new, adventurous chapter would be written inside, and the sunflower's head would blush a deep, confident gold. Lina was the apprentice keeper of the city's central nectary, a grand greenhouse-like heart where the rarest story flowers were cultivated. She was patient and quiet, with the rare gift of being able to read the shimmering glyphs on the moth's wings. She saw epics in the patterns of a monarch and comedies in the flitting of a cabbage white. But a new sound was droning in the air, a low, monotonous hum that threatened to drown out the silent poetry of the moths. These were the synths, sleek, chrome-bodied bee drones introduced by the city's well-intentioned but misguided leader, the architect. "It is progress," the architect declared, standing before a row of identical gray, pod-like flowers. "The scents are efficient. Their gray pollen guarantees uniform growth. No more messy, unpredictable stories. We will build a perfect, orderly city." The scents were brutally efficient. They pollinated the city, and the architectural flowers grew larger and stronger, but they all grew the same, a dull, uniform gray. The tulip houses lost their unique stripes. The library's sunflower head drooped, its golden face paling to a washed-out beige. The soul of the city was being replaced by a sterile, gray function. Worse, the wild glyph moths were vanishing. The unique, quirky story flowers they fed upon were being ripped out and replaced with the generic pods that only the scents could access. The nectary was becoming a museum of dying ideas. Lina's heart ached. The final straw came when she found Papillon, the oldest and most sacred of the glyph moths. Papillon was a magnificent creature whose vast, iridescent wings held the city's founding myth, a story of courage, chaos, and creativity. But now its colors were faded, the glyphs blurred. The story pollen on its wings was thin, almost gone. It landed weakly on Lina's hand, its antenna trembling. It pulsed a final, faint image into her mind. A hidden place, a riot of untamed color, a wild garden at the edge of the world. With a satchel of carefully collected seeds and a single precious jar for gathering pollen, Lina left the gray, humming city. She followed the ghost of a scent on the air, the faint, sweet perfume of a flower that hadn't bloomed in Anthos for a generation. The journey led her to the forgotten outskirts, where the city's neat edges gave way to a tangled, overgrown wilderness. Pushing through a curtain of thick, ancient ivy, she stumbled into a hidden canyon. It was a breathtaking sight. A chaotic, wild garden bloomed in a riot of impossible colors. There were flowers shaped like trumpets that sang soft melodies, blossoms that wept tears of pure dew, and vines that told jokes in the rustling of their leaves. And fluttering between them were the last of the wild glyph moths, their wings blazing with stories so new and vibrant they made Lina's heart sing. This was the source. Lina carefully collected pollen from the singing flowers and seeds from the joke-telling vines. She didn't have much time. She returned to a city that was grayer and more silent than when she had left. The architect was in the main plaza, proudly watching his synths drone from one identical building to another. Lina didn't shout or argue. She walked to the base of the great, drooping library sunflower. Its petals were the color of ash. With the whole city watching, she knelt and planted a single wild seed in the soil. She opened her jar and a cloud of brilliant, multicolored pollen billowed out, carrying the scent of wildness and whimsy. From the satchel on her back, the few wild glyph moths she had managed to coax along fluttered out, their vibrant wings a shocking contrast to the gray cityscape. They were drawn to the new, wild pollen. The architect scoffed. "What is this chaotic display? It is inefficient." But then the seed sprouted. It grew with astonishing speed, not into a neat pod, but into a magnificent trumpet-shaped flower that began to sing a soft, hopeful melody. A tiny, iridescent moth, its wings telling a story of a long journey and a secret garden, landed on it. As it drank the nectar, its wings shimmered even more brightly. It then flew to the drooping head of the library. The moment its pollen touched the great petals, a wave of pure, golden color washed over the entire structure. The great sunflower lifted its head to the sky, and a new, intricately patterned petal unfurled at its center. More beautiful than any seen in years. A collective gasp rose from the crowd. They had forgotten what real inspiration looked like. The architect stared, his belief in sterile perfection crumbling. He saw the joy on his people's faces as they watched the wild moths dance in the air, repainting their gray world with the colors of 1,000 new stories. He looked at Lina not with anger, but with a dawning understanding. "We were building a body," he said, his voice full of awe. "You have brought back its soul." The synths were not destroyed. They were repurposed. Their efficiency was put to use carrying water and maintaining the city's structures, becoming the steady rhythm section that allowed the symphony of stories to play. The wild gardens were cultivated and celebrated. Anthos bloomed again, not as a perfect, uniform city, but as a gloriously messy, unpredictable, and breathtakingly beautiful ecosystem of stories where every single blossom and every single moth had a unique and vital part to play.